Every day, there are people who go above and beyond to make a difference in the lives of others. They're the compassionate hands and caring hearts behind home and community-based services. These are the individuals who provide support, comfort, and companionship, bringing a sense of dignity and independence to those they serve. We ask them to share the why behind what they do.
Just the whole mission of really helping people to be able to stay in their homes, to be able to stay in the community. It's something that really needs to be done. I really started to embrace the relationships and the things that we did offer to the individuals, and to see their smiles and to see their happiness. It kind of has propelled me to continue going. So I just think it's a service that's great for everyone. I'm happy to be doing it.
One of our, she's actually an adolescent. Her mom just, they're in the COTS program, and they were really having a hard time finding providers that would come and actually continue coming just because of some of the behaviors that the kids have. So when she found our agency and I put her with one of my great caregivers, she was just ecstatic. She was actually crying one day when I talked to her, just really thanking us for placing the caregiver with her daughter, because she had been having just so many difficulties revolving doors with providers and the caregivers. So that's one of the things that stuck out to me. It just makes me want to keep doing what I'm doing besides some of the challenges that we face.
Our youngest son, Harry, was identified on the autism spectrum just before the age of 3. So my wife, Margaret, and I are co-founders of Islands of Brilliance. And through working with him, we saw by connecting with his special interests that he was able to engage and learn more. And we wondered if what worked for one would work for many. And that's really the genesis for Islands of Brilliance. So my why now, after doing this for 12 years, is really about creating as many instances of joy in as many spaces for as many autistic individuals as possible. So that's really what drives me, gives me purpose, and fuels the growth of Islands of Brilliance.
So we are the families that are in these services. Our son's currently a Children's Long-Term Support Services participant, and he has been since he was 4, and he's 16 and a half now. And we have seen where there's supposed to be these services available. There was either like really long wait lists, or there was nobody currently providing the services. And so our mentality was, we can keep complaining, like, where are these things? Or maybe we could do something about it and come up with a solution. So we both left our full-time jobs to create these services that we know as a family in these services are much needed.
And we, our mission statement is to walk beside you on your path of recovery, because we are the families walking with these families. Like Gretchen said, we have a child in these services as well. And so we're walking beside the families we work with so that they can start to thrive and not just survive every day.
I'm always smiling and giggling mostly. Advocates like me need to be able to talk about what the services that we're receiving, and also advocate for people that can't advocate for themselves. And it's very important that we have a voice, and we have a voice around the table, because it's like a village. We all have to work together to make things different in our community.
When we go to work, we help people. When we leave there, those that are, some of them obviously are more appreciative than others, but putting yourself in their position with empathy and, their inability to do things as they age, and our ability to provide services that can, again, keep them living independently, but as we say, safely in their own house. Or in their own environment, is just tremendously rewarding.
People shouldn't be restricted and isolated in their homes just because they don't drive. They should have the ability to get out, to work if they choose to volunteer in their communities, to go for ice cream with friends, or just to take a walk at a park. And we don't see those people because they're not in the community. And we need to work to improve our transportation systems to accommodate everybody so they can have a high quality of life.
I do this work because I started out in Dane County as a social worker many, many years ago. Found that people who wanted to stay in the community had to get on a list for waivers, and many of the people that I worked with died before their name came up on a waiting list. And that really bothered me. And I thought there's got to be a better way. So when I started hearing about the waiver opportunities, I was very intrigued. And I kept thinking to myself, how can I be a part of this? So the why for me is people now have access to the services and supports they need right away. There's no wait in Wisconsin, which I'm really proud of. And I'm really proud of the fact that Dane County also has expanded now. I never thought I would still be working when they did. I thought I'm going to retire before that happens. And it has happened, and I'm so proud because I live in Dane County. I'm a proud Madisonian. When I listen to our staff talking about the impact they've had, that's what it's all about. When I hear people who call and say, I love my care manager, that's what it's all about. Or when I see someone who's been in a nursing home or a facility setting and now can move home, that's what it's all about.
Our why for doing what we do is to affirm you are beautiful, your identity is important, and what you're passionate about is important. So our why is bringing a community together for neurodivergent individuals and telling them that their identity is absolutely right. So it's our why.
I got my start in Medicaid working for a small nonprofit, and we'd help people apply for Medicaid programs, Social Security disability. And I think from that work, I saw a lot of the barriers that were kind of systemic or challenges in that initial process. So that's why I went back to school and truly working with Wisconsin Medicaid at this level where we can actually implement positive policy programming and work towards the future. Even though sometimes it is incremental and it's like chipping away at challenges, that's why I do what I do, is just to see these barriers slowly get broken down over time. And I think innovative moments like this conference and the work that our HCBS folks were doing has potential and is actively breaking down some of the barriers that are challenging to people.
I have never been involved in an organization where I have felt such an impact. We see things that nobody gets to see. We do 2 horseshoes a year, and think about it, these are kids that probably don't get to participate in sports or do any of the things where their parents get to come and cheer them on. And these parents come because a lot of times they don't see the lesson, and they get to see their child riding a horse, controlling a massively huge animal. The mom came up to us afterward, and she said, something happened today that has never happened in my 14 years of raising my child. He came up to her and he put his arms around, came up from behind her, put his arms around her neck. She said, he's never done that. Never done that. She's in tears. We're in tears. Yeah, that's the why. That's the why. It's a pretty easy one.
I've been in the field since I was 18. I started doing direct care and saw the impact there, and I haven't looked back since. So I've just continued to grow in the field, and I started to see when we switched from the waiver program to the family care program. So we've already come such a long way. We don't have wait lists anymore. Technology is a new waiver service being added. So all of the innovative ways that we continue to meet our members' needs, that's kind of my why, and just continuing to be good stewards of Medicaid dollars.
I have a personal impact by it. My mother, she had dementia. She was younger onset. She was 50 years old at the time, and I was one of her primary caregivers at a very young age in my family, and I didn't have a lot of resources. It was like no one cared for us. So when she passed in 2016, I just knew that there was something I had to do to change that. So that's how my organization came about, and I just love working in the community with families who are going through similar situations that my family did, and making sure that they're not experiencing what we did.
I grew up in a small community, my dad's hometown, and I always say that we provided assisted living before that was a thing. So there was an expectation that you would stop at your grandparents after school, that you would help your great aunt get to church, that you would help your neighbor do her grocery shopping. So we really provided those services and helped people to live their best lives. And at the same time, realized that we were also helping ourselves to live our best lives. And so that just really has translated into a long career of very meaningful work.
I've been with Vision Forward for just over 11 years, and my connection to the organization is very personal. I myself have a visual impairment, and I was a previous recipient of services from Vision Forward. It allowed me to continue to be successful in my previous work, and I really experienced what it meant to be in an organization where people really understood the challenges that I was facing and really surrounded me with support and reassurance and hope. And because of that, I am incredibly passionate about the work that happens every day, because I know that it is truly transformative and life-changing. And because of our focus on outreach and ensuring awareness within the community, it means that many more individuals can have the same experience that I've had.
My why is that I've had kind of a turning point, a catalyst in, my career, in which I realized that it wasn't enough to want the world to be at a better place. It wasn't enough to wish for that. I had to take action. And if I wanted the world to be a better place that was more inclusive of people who are different, then I need to take action that would create that world in the community that I live in. Wisconsin means the world to me, and there's so much that we do right, but there's also things we could do better. And inclusion is one of those things. So there was one day I was driving and I saw a sign that said, "Everything you want is on the other side of fear." And that was just like this galvanizing point where I realized that I could leverage so many experiences and so much knowledge that I had to actually turn that into a force for good in this community.
When I first got out of college, which is when I came to the state 18 years ago, my why was I went to school to kind of learn how to run nursing homes and assisted living facilities. And I kind of, in that space, learned about these things called COP and KIP, and then the new thing of family care. And I, by chance, kind of fell into my state position working on the functional screen. And I fell in love with it. And I've just been learning about the waivers and how they impact people and how it's grown and how it changes lives, and now getting people out into the community. And now over time, my mom has Alzheimer's disease. So my why is really her.
For about 20 years, I was Adult Protective Services, and I had to look into the faces of the desperate families saying, what do I do? My loved one with dementia, their brain isn't working right, and as a result, they're doing things that are very dangerous for themselves, for everyone else. And I've had to over and over say, I don't know. There isn't anything. There's no place that will take your loved one in a crisis or an emergency, no place that will be able to safely care for or understand your loved one. So myself and some other Adult Protective Services workers in Southwest Wisconsin got together and said, we have to stop saying, I don't know, in those desperate moments. And that's why I do what I do.
In my early career as a provider, I was kind of fresh out of learning how to take care of people with dementia and Alzheimer's. And it was a while ago, so over 27 years ago, in fact. So I've been, at that time, there was a gentleman, his name was Al, and he was a big man. He was in maintenance, very quiet. He was nonverbal, so he was kind of in his later stages of dementia, and he got a little bit aggressive. So I worked with a lot of women in our community-based residential facility, and whenever I worked, I was the manager. I said, hey, I'll take care of Al, do his cares and things. And every day I talked to Al. He never responded, but we talked, we walked. I did activities with him, and I knew he was in there, and then I was promoted to a regional supervisor, and my assistant manager took over as a manager. And about 2 months later, I ran into her and I said, how's Al doing? And she looked at me and she said, about a week after you left, he looked at me and he said, where is he? And so that's my why.
My why is to work with you, to treat you like a human. That's what I'll do. With dignity and respect, that's the words. Thank you.